Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for November 2017. This looks to be a huge month. There's so much stuff going on. In movie-wise, we have Thor Ragnarok and we have Justice League both coming out in November. Plus the TV shows are all back in their full swing. You have a couple new ones. We have Inhumans and we have The Gifted. There's still more coming. We have Netflix is doing their Punisher show. So lots of stuff are going on in the comic world on screens and TV, but that doesn't mean comics are letting up at all. We have lots of huge stuff going on this month, so I'm going to jump right into that.
From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old Maynard comic shop owner Colin McMahon transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us, true believers, for Comics Now!
This month I'm starting with DC because they probably have the biggest book. Honestly, it's the highest ordered book that I've ever ordered that wasn't like a promotional free comic book day book or anything like that. They laid the foundation back in their Rebirth special that came out about a year and a half ago, where all of a sudden Batman found the Watchmen button in the Batcave. And since then they've trickled out a little bit of Watchmen information. We've seen a little bit some possible characters. Well, Doomsday Clock is the big book coming out in November. It's full-fledged. We're getting Rorschach, we're getting Dr. Manhattan, so we're going to see how they bring all this together. Jeff Johns is writing it, Gary Frank is drawing it. They have a great connection. They've done a lot of work together, so they're really in tune on this book. So what DC is doing, because it's Doomsday Clock, and the Doomsday Clock during Watchmen was set at 3 minutes to midnight, we are doing a special, not a midnight release, but a 11:57 release on Tuesday, November 21st. The book comes out on the 22nd, so we'll be 3 minutes before that. We're going to have a special release party, so it's going to be neat. There's a fancy lenticular cover, which is Rorschach's mask moving to show the different Justice League logos. There's also a special midnight release cover coming out. So lots of neat stuff going on. This book, like I said, I've ordered more of this than I have any regular comic book ever in the 11 years I've been open. So I have a lot of faith in this. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement about this. So other stuff going on with DC is Metal. Metal is still rolling along. This has been just a huge success for them and for me. People are really, really excited about it. These fancy metal shiny covers have really taken hold. People are excited. The books have been outstanding. With the little villain one-shots, they've done 6 of them. You can get a pin. So it's just a little thing, but it's kind of neat. And coming in November, we have Batman Lost, which is Batman is lost in the dark multiverse. Superman had gone to try to find him, and that hadn't gone real well for him. We also have Hawkman Found, and Hawkman's going to play a major part in this. And he had been lost for a while. He'd gone into the dark multiverse, and apparently he's going to be found. We also have Batman the Devastator, which is the last of the villain ones. That's Batman taking on Superman. And then we also have a Metal One director's cut, which is kind of cool, where it reprints the first issue, but then you also get notes, you get the script, you get almost like little interviews from the creators, why they did this, what this meant, little things you might have missed, which I do quite often. I miss these little clues because I'm trying to read them quick so I can talk about them. There's also a event going on this month called Bats Out of Hell, which is going through Justice League Flash and Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, and this is the Justice League taking on their counterparts, their evil counterparts. So you have Wonder Woman versus the Merciless, and Flash versus the Red Death, and stuff like this, where these are people who are attuned to take them on. So it's been interesting so far. We'll see where this one goes. Also, Action Comics is finishing up the Mr. Oz storyline. So this has had the fancy lenticular covers. This one's wrapping up. We're going to find out exactly who or what Mr. Oz is and where Superman goes from here. Batman has been outstanding lately, and there's a neat annual coming out. If you had a chance to read the Batman Elmer Fudd book, which was my top book of the year, crazy, I know, but it was fantastic. Lee Weeks did the art in that, and it was spectacular. And he is doing this annual, which, if you've been following Batman, Batman proposed to Catwoman Well, this annual is going to go back to the first date between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. So that could be a lot of fun, where they're obviously not going to get along super great, both being different sides of the coin. But the Lee Weeks art, I'm really, really excited. Batman Creature of the Night. This is a neat one that's coming out. This is Kurt Busiek, who wrote Superman's Secret Identity, which was a look into the early stages of Superman and is coming to grips with his powers and his secret identity. This one is Creature of the Night with John Paul Leon, exploring what happened to Bruce after his parents were murdered. So it looks to be a really, really neat and good series. Black Lightning, Cold Dead Hands. There's a new CW show coming with Black Lightning. So this is a little mini-series that's kind of reintroducing Black Lightning. You might not know who he is. The neat thing about this is Tony Isabella created Black Lightning back in the 70s and then had a major falling out with DC over who owned the character, creative control, things like that. DC has kind of made good to make him happy, and he's actually back writing this series. So that's kind of neat, where he's been angry at them for so long, but they've made it right, and he's come back and he's actually rewriting this new story, which is cool. Demon, Hell on Earth. Demon is an old Jack Kirby character who had a wonderful life in the 90s under Garth Ennis, and they're bringing him back, kind of reintroducing him. Jason Blood, who can turn into the Etrigan the Demon, the rhyming demon. So that should be fun. Mystic U is a neat one, where it's taking a lot of DC's magical characters, Zatanna, Sargon, all these characters, putting kind of in college where they're learning to be magicians, and hijinks ensue. But it's just an interesting take on some of these characters. Also to introduce them, because a lot of people might not know who all these characters are, and just a little fun twist, not necessarily in continuity, but playing with the characters. There's a new talent showcase. They did one of these last year, and it's just neat where they bring in new writers and new artists, so you can kind of get a little familiar with them. And some of them are really quite good. Jetsons #1. This is by Jimmy Palmiotti. He's writing this kind of in the vein of the Flintstones and the Scooby Apocalypse. A little different take on the Jetsons, and a little more looking at the future. They live in the future. Why don't they live on Earth? What happened to Earth and what's going on? A little different takes on the characters. Vertigo has a new one called Imaginary Fiends. This is by Tim Seeley, who's been doing really well. He was writing Nightwing. He just switched over to Green Lanterns. He's also done a lot of horror stuff. He did Revival that went, I think, like 47, 48 issues. And this is a little more of a horror book, where there is these aliens that live in like a little pocket dimension, and they can come through and take over the minds of, I guess, feeble-minded or really susceptible people and get them to do their bidding. So this is a story about that happening. So that's what we have from DC. That's the biggies. Now we get into Marvel, we're into month 2 of Legacy, where they're going back to the legacy numberings on the characters and really trying to punch them up. Big one this month is Captain America 695. Cap's back. It's post Secret Empire. He's no longer a Nazi, we're hoping, or no longer Hydra. But it's gotten Mark Waid and Chris Samnee on it, who had an amazing run on Daredevil. They also did a Black Widow run. Mark Waid wrote Captain America back in the 90s, so it's nice him coming back to kind of reinvigorate the character. So that's coming out. Spider-Man 234 is Miles Morales' Spider-Man, and they're giving him his own Sinister Six, so that should be fun. Daredevil 595 is Charles Soule continuing on this. During Secret Empire, Kingpin was trying to make things better in New York City while it was under control, and now that it's over, he gets elected mayor. So we're going to see how Daredevil deals with one of his greatest villains becoming mayor of New York City. Punisher 218, this is a new writer. This is Matthew Rosenberg taking over, and he's taken over the War Machine armor. So now he's not only is he a guy who likes to go out and shoot things up, he's going to be wearing big armor with rockets and all sorts of fun stuff. And this is also going to be neat tying in, not tying into the TV show, but when there's a little more heightened interest in Punisher, it looks like a real fun way to let Punisher blow stuff up. She-Hulk is issue 159. It's mostly a name change. She's been in a book called Hulk, and now she's just kind of reclaiming her She-Hulk title. Doctor Strange is also, or this is written by Donny Cates, who's had a real good run with God Country and Redneck, and he's taking over Doctor Strange, and it's basically going to be Loki, Sorcerer Supreme. So we get to learn and find out how Loki took over the mantle and how Doctor Strange is going to have to fight to get it back. Moon Knight 188. This is Max Bemis and Jason Burrows. Jason Burrows, really detailed artist. Max Bemis has done a lot of. He's a movie guy, but he's coming in and putting his spin on a crazy, insane character. So this should be fun. Guardians of the Galaxy is leading up to 150, which is going to be their big event, but they're starting at 146, and basically it's Infinity Quest, and they are joining the Nova Corps to go and look for the Infinity Gems. Thanos is also being written by Donny Cates, so Marvel's trying to infuse some new hot young writers into their line, so hopefully it takes off and these guys do a good job. There's a bunch of one-shots that they're doing also, along with Legacy, kind of going back to previous series. Especially a lot of stuff from the 90s, they're really jumping on that. And some of the one-shots are Darkhawk, Not Ek, which was a 70s humor book, Power Pack, Master of Kung Fu, which is written by CM Punk, so if you're a wrestling fan, you might like this, and Silver Sable and the Power Pack, or not the Power Pack, what was her group? I forget what their group, but Silver Sable one-shot. So that's what's going on with the big two. Now I want to talk to you about what's going on with a lot of the other companies, the big major companies. Dark Horse is, it's funny, they ended Hellboy, but Mike Mignola doesn't want to let go, so he keeps revisiting, which is fun. There's one called Rasputin, Voice of the Dragon. Rasputin is the character that brought Hellboy from Hell to Earth, and it's going back a little further into his history and the events leading up to when he brought Hellboy back. And then there's also a Jenny Finn series coming, and she's another one of the Mike Mignola characters from BPRD. IDW has a lot of fantasy books coming out in November. There's one, Sword of Ages, with Gabriel Rodriguez, who's writing and drawing it. He became well-known. I don't want to say famous. He became well-known. He was the artist on Lock and Key. So this is him kind of trying his own thing. I also have Giant Killer, which is Ron Mars and Bart Sears, who are real classic 90s guys, doing another fantasy book. And then we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters 2, where they're crossing over again. This is going to be a weekly book, one every week. There's 5 Wednesdays in November, so it's a 5-issue mini. Image has a bunch of stuff coming out. Gravediggers Union is a new series where there's a zombie apocalypse coming and only the Gravedigger Union can stop them. Number One with a Bullet looks really intriguing, where there's these new contact lenses that let you see things, like you can see the internet on them, you can see virtual reality stuff, but they also record everything you see. So when a sex tape that gets out on this famous person, just from what was taken from her contacts, she has to figure out how to stop this. Coyotes Number One looks like a little spin on Red Riding Hood. These wolves are terrorizing this town, and a young girl named Red comes through with a big sword to save them. Dark Fang is a vampire environmentalist book where basically vampires have to stop climate change because it's threatening their food supply. Evolution Number One is interesting, where it's just there's bizarre evolutions going on around the world, but it's 4 writers doing it, and 3 of whom are kind of Image Central guys, but the 4th one is Josh Williamson, who's made a big break working on Flash for DC. So it's kind of interesting how this one's going to work with 4 fairly good-sized writers on this one. Port of Earth is a real neat one. I got to read a PDF, so I can talk a little more about this one. But basically, aliens land on Earth, and they don't want to take over Earth, but they want to use it as a rest stop. They found a way to power ships with water, and Earth has lots of water, so they, in exchange for building a port outside of San Francisco and taking water, they give Earth some advanced technology that helps improve Earth. Well, some of the aliens don't stay at the port, they wander off and things happen, and also the citizens are upset because this technology has put them out of work, so they're angry at the aliens, and so a lot of conflict, potential conflict on this. And the first story involves following two cops investigating an alien-type murder. So it was interesting, just a different take on things. And then Void Trip is a new one where the last 2 humans are kind of in like a Winnebago going through the universe, doing stuff. And the first issue was a lot of fun. Aftershock has one called Brilliant Trash. This is also by Tim Seeley, who's writing a lot of stuff. Basically a questionable journalist who's known mostly for fake news, clickbait type stuff, get some big information about a medical conspiracy, but will anyone believe her since she's not doesn't have a very good reputation? Alterna is doing a bunch of books. They're only $1.50. They're printed on newsprint. And these have been really popular, especially because it's not a big investment. You can try them, and they have a new one called Doppelganger coming out. Archie has an interesting one called Betty and Veronica Vixens, where Betty and Veronica and friends are all biker chicks. So we'll see where they go with this. Definitely a different spin on the characters. Boom has a couple fun ones. One, just the title, Kong on Planet of the Apes. So it kind of speaks for itself. And they have another one called Fence, which is about like high school fencing team. But it's gotten a lot of buzz. A lot of people are asking about it. I think probably family members of fencing team members where they've really never had a book. So this one looks interesting. Chris Anka, I know, is doing the cover. So it should look pretty and be interesting. From Dynamite, John Wick is finally coming out. This one's been, we've been ordering, I think, this one since July. But there's a lot of interest in John Wick. And this is him getting out of prison and starting to work for the Russian. So you're getting his backstory, his early story, which they're probably not going to do a movie on. So this is going to be a neat way to get that information out there and stuff you haven't seen. Red 5 has a real interesting historical type one called Chasing Hitler, where it's set in World War II. Two servicemen are tasked with confirming that Hitler is indeed dead, and they get there and he's not there, and they now have to go find him. So just different. The reason this one caught my eye because it's written by Jai Nitz, who's the writer of Fujitsu, which came out, #1 came out a couple months ago and was really, really a neat book. So when I saw his name, I kind of got intrigued and looked a little deeper. Titan has a couple more of their hard case crime books, which have done really well. First one is Minky Woodcock, the Girl Who Handcuffed Houdini, which is set in the 20s with Houdini. Just the title intrigues me alone, so, and the covers look good. Quarry's War is another hard case crime. This is written by Max Allan Collins, who's really known for his crime stories, his mysteries, set like in the 20s. He wrote Road to Perdition, which was a comic and then later became a movie. Tom Hanks, you've seen it. Another one called Dr. Radar, which is a 20s gentleman detective story. So lots of period stuff from Titan, but it looks interesting, aside from a lot of their video game and Doctor Who stuff. And then Valiant has a neat series coming out called Ninja K, with Ninjak, but what they're exploring is that it's more Ninja K, where they started with A, B, C, and the current one is K. And someone is now going through and attacking all of the current and former ninjas who are basically like protectors, I think, of the Queen in England is their role. So it's a new series. So this one looks good. So that's really everything going on with comics. That should be enough. That's a ton of stuff. I'm excited to read all that stuff. We do have a lot of neat stuff going on in the store in November. We're heading towards the holidays, so that's when things really start gearing up. So to start, it's double points all month long on Thor and Justice League. I didn't want to pick one or the other, so I decided to make it both. So if you see the movies and want to read more about the characters, the teams, come on in. If you saw Thor, you might have questions about the Hulk stuff, and that ties right into Planet Hulk. So come on in and pick that up. You can get double points on that. Same thing with Justice League. All sorts of stuff, all sorts of good stuff available for those. Then we have Justice League Day. The movie comes out on November 17th, so we're doing Justice League Day that day. We're going to have free books. We'll do a special sale. Then that carries over into Saturday the 18th, which is local comic shop day. A little brief history of that. What happened is we came up with Free Comic Book Day. Comic book stores did Free Comic Book Day. The record industry saw that, said, oh, we should do Record Day. And what they did is they turned it a little bit and made it, instead of giving something away, which they can't really do for records because they're more expensive to produce, they did special limited edition things where you can only get at the stores, you can't buy online. Special pressings, different variations, different albums, things like that. So we're kind of twisting it again and taking that idea back. So local comic shop day is a day to celebrate comic book stores. We're going to have special unique items that you can't get online for special things for gifts and things. Hardcovers, I know Black Mask is doing a special, I think, Cal Exit bandana. They did a record last year, which was well received. So special stuff that I'll post them all on the website so you can see the different things that are coming in. So things like Captain America has a special variant cover. I know Valiant is doing a Secret Weapons exclusive hardcover. It's only going to be in hardcover for us for this day. So it's kind of neat. It's just a neat way to get people excited. We're doing it the week before Thanksgiving. So come in for that. The Doomsday Clock release on Tuesday the 21st at 11:57 at night. Come on down if you want to see what this is all about. Get the special midnight release variant cover. I blew out of those last time we did it on Metal #1 during the midnight release. So lots of fun stuff there. Black Friday, of course, is coming up on Friday, November 24th. We'll have big sales, lots of stuff going on that day. It's always fun, exciting, jumping. And then it also goes into Small Business Saturday, where American Express kind of partners with us to promote the Saturday after. So, if you want to spend Friday at the mall, at the wherever, the outlets, that lets you on Saturday come to support the small businesses, the people like the comic book stores, and help us out on that Saturday. And book club this month, we decided it's going to be on December. It's going to be Friday, December 1st, just because I normally do it the last Friday of the month, and this month it would have fallen on Black Friday, which I have enough going on that day. So we bumped it the following week to December 1st, and we're doing Watchmen this month because of Doomsday Clock is involving Watchmen. I thought it would be a real good time to revisit Watchmen and get a little, kind of refresher for everybody on that. Assuming everybody's read that, right? No, okay. And if you haven't read it, now's a great time to read it and come and talk about it. So that is all I have for the month of November. As always, if you have any questions, come ask in the store. You can find me online, pittsburghcomics.com, on Facebook under Pittsburgh Comics. Twitter and Instagram is just PGH Comics. So please ask questions. It's a great time to start getting gifts. We have lots of ideas. If you want to know what to try to find for somebody, something new, something different, please come ask. We're happy to help out. Reach out. I'm easily reachable. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. Steve Rogers wanted to fight Nazis. He wanted to serve his country. An experimental serum gave him the power to do both. As Captain America, Rogers became a World War II battlefield legend, until one day a Nazi missile hurled him into the icy waters of the North Atlantic. The cruelty of time left Rogers frozen for decades, his legend forgotten, but his country still needed him. And legends never die.
We're trying. Who is this guy? He's moving like a rocket sled. Who is this clown? Some suicide runner. We're Rampart, man. We own this country now, remember?
You don't own the people of Boonton, Nebraska, because if you did, you wouldn't have to take over a police station to get national attention and endanger a bunch of kids on a field trip. Everyone, in here!
Oh, God, the children! Please, don't hurt the children!
I'm here to help.
You're not with them! Who are you? Wait! Where's Jacob? Where's Donna? Where are they?
Hi, I imagine you two are scared.
I want my dad!
Shh, I know. Are you Donna?
Yes?
Donna, I have something way more important for you to do than be scared, all right? A rule we follow. Ready? You have to protect Jacob.
What? Me? Why?
Because he's smaller than you. Stay way down. I'll be right back.